Welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. 2 episodes ago, I brought JD down here with the cab on the freeway, and it made it down here okay. And I started out doing some driveway maintenance. I had a couple washouts in the driveway. I used a box blade, smoothed it out, and made everything look pretty good. And then I told you I'd be continuing this episode as the time got a little long, that we'd be giving up the box blade and moving over to the brush hog. I mentioned in the previous video that I only brought whatever diesel was in the tank. I didn't bring any extra with me. So my plan of attack now is to go up on top of the hill because I think that's going to use the most fuel. I'll be using the brush hog at a high RPM, and it's a little bit of a ways to get there. It's going to be a couple miles by the road, back roads, and then dirt roads to get up to the top of our hill. There's a little access road that the gas well maintenance people use to get up to the top of our hill to maintain the gas well, and that's the one I'm going to go over to and use to get access. It was a frosty morning when I got up. Temps were in the high 20s, and the frost has kind of melted off the windshield, though it's a little dewy still.
Well, I ended up making a wrong turn up in the woods here, and I realized not too far into it that I went the wrong way. And just to make sure I'm going the right way, I just decided to go on foot, check things out. I walked down here a little ways, and I recognized a food plot that my neighbor has with a salt block, so I know that our property is not that far away from that. So heading back to the tractor now. Also coming down, you'd be surprised with the drone following me. I had it honed onto the tractor to follow. You would think a little tiny electric wire with all that space in between that the drone wouldn't find it, but I almost got it tangled up in some power lines. I actually clipped the propeller a little bit on the one side, so I'm going to have to change those out, but I retrieved it with no issues, and certainly the power line is plenty strong enough that a plastic propeller is not going to harm it. So. All right, back to the tractor.
This clearing area is the highest point of our property, and I always found it a little unusual that at the highest point, that's where they put a gas well. You think they would have put it at a lower point and not have so much depth that they'd have to drill down to find a gas pocket. Now I get asked all the time, do I wish that I would have bought a larger tractor? And there are some times where I would like to have a larger tractor. Coming through these back roads and through some of these paths through the woods, it might have been nice to have a tractor that has bigger tires with a little bit more clearance. Now I did look into the 2 Series years ago, and the clearance is really not that much difference than this 1025R. So I think maybe a 3 Series, which in some cases a 3 Series like a 3025E is pretty economical, around $22,000 with a loader. And I'm almost wondering if you're going to do a 2, maybe just go to 3. It just depends what your needs are. If I would have jumped on a 2 right away, I definitely wouldn't be looking for anything bigger. The 1025R has always done the job, and sometimes it might take a little bit longer to do, but it's always done it. Now when I have friends come down here and go hunting with me, this is kind of a rally point, this clearing area. So we all go off in different directions. There's a couple different paths leading off of this clearing. Then we reconvene at the end of our hunting session and compare notes. Typically the first question when reconvening is, did you see anything? We've also often discussed putting a food plot up here. The area, once it's cleared, is pretty nice. It's out in the sun, and maybe one day in the future I'll bring the tiller with me and we'll give it a try. This area here is kind of like just a little parking area. Makes a little cubby just so we can park the UTVs or ATVs here, and they're pretty much out of sight.
All right, so brush hogging with the cab on was pretty good. Temps are in the high 40s right now, and it was actually kind of warm just off of the engine heat. I didn't even have the heater going, and I don't even have the back window in over here. But I did get caught on some pricker bushes, and this did tear my molding off. So I have to re-glue it. Like I said, I was just kind of cruising close to the brush, and pricker bushes caught the side here. And this was fastened fairly nice. The other one was loose when I first installed it. And I talked about that before when I put the cab on. So a little casualty of war. When I get it back home, we'll have to see if we can get that repaired. I don't think it'll matter on the freeway. It should be pretty tight. Another thing with having a cab on, it was actually kind of nice going through all these pricker bushes and these thickets and not having stuff hitting me in the face, you know, just hitting the door over here. So that made a big difference. I'm going to start working on the path over here now. The only thing is with the cab on, it might take up a little bit more space than it used to. So I'm going to have to really watch the limbs and low-hanging branches. That's my seat.
Camera's not very good at picking up the contour of the ground, but there's a nice little hump coming up here to this next path.
About 11:30 right now. I have a half tank of diesel left in the tank, so that should get me back down and around, and I should have enough gas to maybe do some more brush hogging down below around the cabin area. So there's a lot to do down there. All in all, the clearing went good. The paths went good. I didn't want to get too daring because I'm by myself and I just don't want to roll a tractor, and I don't have a chainsaw or anything with me. Don't want to get it stuck. So I got what I needed to get accomplished. Going to head down, and I'll meet you down at the cabin.
another downed tree. I thought I'd just scooch it out of my way for my neighbor if he ever decides to brush hog down these paths on his property. One thing I forgot to mention when I was trailing the tractor down 2 episodes ago is that the light bar that I have on top of the rocks is held in by magnets, and I did not take it off for the ride on the freeway. And it's on there pretty good, and I had no issues going through the woods with it either. It's still on there. Alright, that's going to do it for today. I appreciate you watching these videos. Hope you enjoy and subscribe to them. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one is coming out. And keep an eye on this. Take care, everybody.